Coming to you from sunny California and the Great White North. Get ready. We are breaking down the obstacles on the Armchair Ninja Podcast. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Armchair Ninja Podcast. It is Thursday, July 19th, 2018. My name is Rich, and joining me once again is Bijan. How are you making out?
Konnichiwa, everyone. I am so psyched. I'm basically flying out to Japan in maybe, what is it, 8 hours from now, man. So, I'm just in Japan mode. Arigato.
We are keeping you late here. You're going to get some sleep before you go. But thankfully, next week, Bijan, thankfully...
I heard that, bro. Throwing some shade in my face.
Bijan will not be with me next week, but thankfully, is what I meant to say, thankfully, I will be joined by Jacob Bowling, a.k.a. DJ Tight Pants, will be on the podcast next week.
DJ Tight Pants, represent. Yeah, big shout out to Jacob. Thank you, man. Really appreciate holding down the fort and everything, and don't worry, everyone, I'll be back. Love you all. But time to have some fun. The land of the rising sun. Dude, what if I see Mount Midoriyama over there? Like, man, I gotta scout out where Sasuke is at. I know it's like they only build it at certain times of the year, but hey, maybe they have some Ninja Warrior stuff happening.
Yeah, you should check it out. And make sure you post pictures on your Instagram so we can all follow and keep up.
Oh, there will be many pictures and videos, everyone. Keep an eye out.
But this week, we're actually going to be covering the Los Angeles Finals. We are finally past the qualifiers and into the city finals, and it was a good one.
Yeah, it was good and very tough course. I really enjoyed it. It was tough but fair, and I really liked the diversity in the obstacles. Like, it really tested pretty much all of your body parts and, like, all types of fitness. So I thought it was just perfect all around.
We had some weird change-ups on the course, so let's talk about the obstacles first. We had...
Yeah. Well, there is one part that wasn't perfect.
Is that the archer steps by any chance?
No, I love the archer steps. Actually, I'll speak about that in a minute. Well, let's go in order. Yeah, archer steps. Archer steps in general, I gotta say. So there was a rumor about these from a lot of the testing going into the season about the archer steps. A lot of the local ninja gyms were having like mock-ups of them, or the word was getting around. The original version of these archer steps was very different from what you saw and a lot more difficult. I don't want to speak to it yet because I don't know if they use that version in the Vegas finals, but it's very curious. We saw like kind of like a halfway ninja archer steps in this episode, and I'm really glad to see them because I feel like, you know, we have an opportunity to change things up for the first obstacle. Yeah, it might not take a lot of people, but hey, variety is good. New things are good. I'm just very curious to see if the one that scared pretty much everybody, if we're going to see that later on.
Yeah, I was very underwhelmed. These were not a great addition based on this episode alone, so we'll see. I'm going to assume it's going to be at the rest of the city finals as well, so we'll see if it starts actually taking people out, causing some slip-ups, and get some better idea of even the mechanics of it and what's going on there. I get the vague sense that they turn, but really that was just looking in the background as everybody zoom past them. It was not a very dramatic obstacle.
Yeah, basically they're like triangles, and the key about them is you have to hit them in a certain way, kind of in the middle. Because they turn, and they do turn, if you basically land too much to the side, or, which a lot of people try to do, is just kick off the top of it, it's just going to spin out from underneath you. There's only 2 of them, and they seem to be large, and there's other factors, so it's not too difficult in these finals. However, let's just say there could be modifications to these, which will make it very, very more difficult. I'm trying to be vague, y'all.
Right. Besides that, we had the flying shelf grab substitute in, which is a good obstacle. It's a pretty straightforward one, though.
Yeah, it's straightforward. I mean, how do you feel? They replaced the sky hooks. Did you feel like sky hooks are more difficult or the shelf grab? Because I kind of feel like sky hooks are tougher.
Maybe a little bit, but overall, it kind of washed over me. It's a perfectly fine obstacle. It's about the right difficulty, I think, for where it is in the course.
Yeah, I feel like maybe it's just a balancing act, right? Like it's difficult, but like if the skyhooks were a 7, these would be a 6 or something like that, right? It's not too drastic of a change, but once again, it's a different variety. So I guess I can't complain just based on the fact that they're changing things up. They're keeping ninjas on their toes.
Yep. Doorknob drop got a very drastic reduction in difficulty.
This was the one, man. They nerfed this thing something fierce. I mean,
I
it's
would
the
be fine with
drop that really is the key.
Yeah, which would be fine. I don't have a problem with them nerfing it, but don't tell me it's because the ninjas figured out how to make it drop slower. That is just ridiculous.
Did they say that?
Yeah.
I missed that.
Yeah, Matt was saying like, oh, they figured out how to make it drop right or something along those lines. It's like, oh, they did not.
How does that even make sense? They have no control over the drop. What does that mean?
I have no idea.
Dude, yeah, I don't know about that. I think it's just something to be fun, I guess, funny, but man, yeah, the thing is, they really nerfed it. I mean, yeah, it's a tough obstacle in the fact that they spin independently, or some of the pegs, right? And the doorknobs, and there's other factors, but overall, the key to it that took out a lot of the field, like Tiana Weberly, Flip Rodriguez, a few others, like the big name ninjas, it was the drop in the severity of it. And, you know, this is the finals. Give them a chance to redeem themselves. Give them a chance to, tackle that tough part of that obstacle and redeem themselves. I don't know. It's kind of like doing the spinning bridge, but the things don't spin, or various other things. Like, the main part of the obstacle was therefore nerfed.
Yeah, that's a pretty good point. I was a little disappointed with that, to be honest. And then the back half of the course, we had the giant cubes return, which is a pretty good obstacle. It's got a decent amount of difficulty, and
I like it.
It's fairly interesting.
Yeah, it's 100% a bouldering obstacle. If you go rock climbing and all that things, like when the guys aren't hooked on the cables and aren't like trying to go 20 feet, but like are trying to do like things with like weird pegs and such, and just like shoving their hips into the wall. That's basically what this is. If you're a rock climber, you are going to feel at home. If you don't do rock climbing, you're going to have some trouble.
And besides that, we had the Baton Pass, which was good. It was pretty good. It was like a puzzle almost. I think the comparison to the circuit board's pretty good. Mm-hmm. It's got a lot of, you've got to make some dynamic moves. You got to figure out where everything's got to go and make decisions along the way. It's kind of a mental obstacle and a physical obstacle, and it's a pretty solid 9th obstacle, one that I'd like to see stick around.
Yeah, I'm glad you liked it, because I really enjoyed this obstacle. I feel like this does everything that the circuit board wanted to do. The circuit board, had some tough... I feel like the second iteration of the circuit board was definitely better, but it still felt like, yeah, you just need to just have grip strength. I don't know. It just wasn't there for me. This one, I really like the fact that you really had to think about the approach, but at the same time, precision was very, very important. You had to be delicate with it. And you can't just muscle through it, right? And there's different elements. Every single transition with it is a different element of putting them into place. The batons, I mean. And you really had to take your time. So for me, there was a lot of elements that you just necessarily don't see on the show, where it's a thinking man's obstacle. And I really, really enjoy that.
And we come to the final one, and one that I think you were probably trying not to tell me about earlier as this approached, the spider trap. Did you know that was coming?
No, I didn't, man. I enjoyed it. How do you feel about it compared to last year's obstacle? Because this is the thing. I feel like a lot of people are going to be underwhelmed by its difficulty compared to last year. And I forget the name of it. It was a successor to the Invisible Ladder, so to speak, right? But I remember last year, you and I just talking every time of how scary that thing was looking, in terms of like, if you fall in the wrong way at the top, you can really hurt yourself. So I feel like this is a way safer type of obstacle, and I'm okay with it.
I feel like it was an attempt to be safer, but is it really? That was my only real peeve with it. I think it's good overall. It really adds a degree of difficulty to the spider climb that we haven't seen before. But at the same time, those doors, if you came down the wrong way, like if you lose your grip and that comes, like, it seems like it could hit them on the head, it could jam them up in it, it seems a little problematic too. I'm not sold that it's perfectly safe.
Yeah, I'm not going to act like it's the safest obstacle, but just compared to last year, I mean, it's not, nothing's going to come close to as scary as last year's. Yeah, I understand what your reservations for it. I like the fact that they do lock in place, I think magnetically, but as you said, there is a chance where the magnets, just drop and it can hit somebody. What did they say? It was 50 pounds, so 25 pounds on each side. I don't know. It's there. I feel like they can amp it up in terms of difficulty, but I feel like this is just the first iteration of something that we'll see. Next year, we'll see a much harder version of it. And I do like the fact that, in years past, it was all upper body going into this crescendo of the invisible ladder, where once again, it was super upper body and these guys were completely worn. I like the fact that we're doing an obstacle that very much tests your lower body. I mean, you really have to have very strong hip flexors for the spider climb. And now you add that element. I mean, it's doable. I feel like this obstacle isn't going to... If you can get to the final obstacle, I don't necessarily think it's going to take out pretty much anybody other than people that just have never trained to spider climb. But I don't know. I mean, if the rest of the course is difficult enough, I don't really have a problem with it.
All right, so let's take a look at some of these runs here. First on the course, we had Joe Martovich. Joe's father, unfortunately, did pass in 9/11. He was in the South Tower while he was in third grade, so he was running for him, continually referring to his father, his shirt, and his tattoo.
It was a little overplayed, but it was a very good story, I like elements like this where they tell a story that we just don't see very often. I mean, just this season, we can name so many stories of like a ninja befriending a kid and, blah, 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 various stories. This is unique. And unfortunately, it's not in a good way, but I do appreciate the fact that we are talking about a relevant, real thing that isn't really covered enough. I mean, I kind of feel like 9/11 is kind of taboo in American culture, but it's like it did happen, and I feel like it affected so many thousands of people's lives, and I'm glad he was able to tell his father's story and at least represent his father in this.
Yeah, and he looked very strong. This was his rookie run, and you wouldn't know it the way he was going through it. He looked incredibly strong in the shelf grab.
Yeah.
He ended up falling on the transition to the last cube, but we will definitely be seeing more of that guy, I would say.
Yeah, it's pretty clear. This guy trains, right? And I don't know. I really like this approach of like the first run, actually seeing like them go pretty far, and we get a good variety of like understanding what the course is like. And yeah, overall, this was a win. I really like this guy. I really like his story. I really like his look and his ability. All around, thumbs up.
After him, we had Jesse Orenshine, whose fan club was holding up a sign that said Jesse is single. It seemed to be like he's like the Tinder ninja or something. I don't know exactly what they're going for here.
He's a Jewish ninja. Actually, I was hanging out with this guy pretty much the entire time in the qualifiers when I was running. It was me, him, and a few other people, including Josh Levin. And this guy's really cool. He's a very nice, down-to-earth guy, pretty charismatic, just gigantic human being of buffness, like just like muscles upon muscles. Looking at this dude, I'm like, dude, what do you do? Like, how do you work out? When I was talking to him, from what I understood, he really wanted to show America a different approach to what Judaism is. A lot of people have, it's hard because I don't want to speak for other people, right. But he's basically making it seem more modern, like, hey, my religion doesn't necessarily make me to be a stereotype. I listen to music. Let's talk about hip hop. I work out. I might wear my hat, my Jewish hat. I forget its name. I don't want to be disrespectful. Yarmulke, thank you. But he is a down to earth, chill guy that can talk to you about basically anything. And I think that's what he was trying to go for. And I am glad that he was represented. You got to see this chill, fun guy with his shirt off and single, all this stuff, but at the same time his religion, from what I understood, was very important to him. So cool stuff.
Yeah, he made a one-hand save on the flying shelf grab that was really impressive, and then used an incredibly smart technique. He used the rope to get swing high up on the doorknobs, saving himself a lot. That was very smart. Yeah. That
was brilliant, man. I'm really glad a lot of ninjas took that approach. Like, once again, I love this stuff where ninjas have a struggle on an obstacle, but the second time they go through it, they're like, hey, I got an idea. Let's try this. And it works. That was brilliant. And we saw a few different techniques of like using that rope to make things a little bit easier on those doorknobs, and brilliant stuff.
Yeah, actually, I just realized my note here is when Matt says it on the doorknob drop, he said, quote, ninjas have learned from qualifying how to control the speed of that drop. That is the exact quote. Foolishness.
I sure hope I learned how to control gravity, That's right. Ninjas now have control over gravity.
He ended up falling on the middle cube, but he did a great job. And really good run.
Yeah.
After him, we had Verdale Benson. We had a few new names here right off the bat, and they were all really strong. This guy,
very serious dude.
Yeah, this dude is absolutely huge. These guys are all massive too. That was the common thread here. This guy was absolutely humongous. 4 years as a medic in Afghanistan, 200 pounds of muscle. Unfortunately, going out on the spinning bridge, he just didn't get far enough onto that third one and ended up falling in.
Yeah, it surprised me because they really went in depth with this story. I don't know. It was fine just because this episode, and I think it's going to be a theme of the finals courses, highlighting more ninjas and stories, which I'm all right with. I'm sure casual fans might be like, not enough story, but whatever. I don't know. It was cool. It was fine.
Yeah, there's a huge rant by someone posted an article on ANW Nation. So if you'd like to rant along with hardcore, old school ANW fans about how it's been ruined by NBC, that's where you can go check it out.
Boy, well, I have words for them. Nope.
Yeah.
I cannot read that. I will just lose it.
Yeah, I managed to hold back. But feel free. If that's how you feel, share your thoughts.
Do you?
We had a fast forward after that of Anthony Trucks, who ended up going out on the flying shelf grab. He looks completely shocked when he didn't make that.
Shocked me, man. Anthony Trucks is a huge human being. I saw him in real life. I'm like, dude. I kind of feel like flying shelf grab. You can just swing out like Tarzan to each one.
After him, we saw Janique Lavette take the course, who was really struggling in the doorknob drop. Couldn't get her hands crossed over on the top of the second panel and ended up going out. I thought she had it. I thought for sure she had it.
I think it was a combination of a mental error, in terms of just hand placements. She just couldn't figure out how to get up there, but she could have just worn herself out. Pretty shocking because Janique's always looked very, very strong in the upper body area, but you just never know when it comes to grip and spinning obstacles. Just she could have been draining out far more muscle than we saw. So who knows? Yeah.
So then I was curious at that point. I thought, is she going to be far enough? That's pretty good. That's a really good run, but with the strong women we have running in LA, I wasn't sure it was gonna be far enough, and it turns out it wasn't.
I didn't think she was going further. I thought this was the end for her season. To be honest with you, just because I don't know. When it comes to the finals, I feel like a lot of the women at this point in the show are so strong that I just expect a lot of the women to at least get to the warped wall.
It's still pretty uncommon. We had the 11th and 12th.
I know,
counting.
That's crazy. That shocked me, honestly. I thought it was way more than that. I think maybe Ninja versus Ninja just, messes up my perception of it, but I really thought there was more women.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think we were so used to seeing it now that it is kind of shocking to know that it's only 11 and 12, which is still a good number. It's still much better than we had before, but yeah. We had a couple of fast forwards of our favorite ninjas after that. We had Gabe Hurtado was fast forwarded, who ended up going out on the salmon ladder. And not one that we're so familiar with, but one that had to be mentioned. Scott Wilson folded himself in half on the spinning bridge.
Oh.
Scorpioned, I think he used the term.
That's the scorpion, yeah, where basically the back of your head touches your feet, and it's never pretty. If you are not a gymnast that can do it, if you just do it because you're landing, that spine of yours, that's a whole lot of nope.
He was okay, at least that night. I'm not sure how he felt in the morning, but
I have a feeling he was hurting. Obviously not long-term damage, I don't think, but I'm sure he was not feeling well that week.
When we returned, we had Kevin Bull with the Cap Kids and the alopecia community, and that never gets old. That is just the coolest thing that he's been able to leverage from his appearance on the show and the inspiration he provides those kids, I could see that story 100 times and not get sick of it.
Yeah, it's weird because, I have been critical this season about, ninjas, well-known ninjas befriending a kid and blah, blah, blah. But I don't know, when it comes to, in particular, Kevin Bull and Flip Rodriguez, when it comes to their little kid fan bases, it's always fine for me. I think it's just because it's a lot of kids, and they're always doing something different with the children, the dynamics, and the story's still kind of on them. But in the fact that they're, kind of like raising up these children every year, we get to see like kind of updates with the children that follow them. I'm cool with it. I don't know. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, my daughter has a friend in school who has alopecia, and I asked her if she knew if he watched ANW, because I feel like Kevin Bull is like the ultimate role model, right?
Oh yeah.
How could you possibly find someone better than that to represent that kind of a challenge, right? He himself has talked about, how that felt when he first started losing his hair, and I just feel like he's flipped it completely around, right? You can't, because he is the picture of health, right? Like he just makes it seem like.
He makes it seem cool, man. I mean, he makes it seem like it's okay, you're not sick or anything like that. It's a condition, but it's not a condition where you need to be perceived as special needs or like handicapped or anything like that. He's basically showing like, yeah, I may not have my hair, but hey, I am the most fit person in the room at all times, and he makes it seem cool, like it's cool to have alopecia. Maybe that's the wrong terms, right? But he makes it seem like for kids that have it, they're okay. They're still beautiful. They're still amazing. They can still achieve their dreams, everything like that.
Yeah, and he got his redemption on the course. He had no issue on the doorknobs this time. He managed to beat the cubes, beat the Baton Pass, and beat the whole thing. I actually was a little surprised because I thought they would save him for later if he was going to beat it, but I didn't realize we'd have so many finishers this time around.
Yeah, I was enjoying it, man. And, it was nice to see his approach to the course, because as we saw with the Cannonball, he's somebody that takes risks. He's always fun to watch, but he's actually pretty dang smart when it comes to his approach with the course also. And I enjoyed it, especially when it came to that, was it Baton Pass or something like that? Like, I really liked his approach to it. He really took his time, it was almost like a science experiment. He's like looking at it, squinting his eyes, like, what do I do next? It was so calm.
Yeah, he's very methodical, very smart approach. Like it. And after him, we had Anna Shoemaker, the gymnast, and one of our favorites from Ninja vs. Ninja, Team Ninja Warrior.
Those biceps, bro.
Whew. She is strong. And very personable, too. She's got a lot of personality, very fun to watch. Mm-hmm. She was able to beat the doorknob drop and did the craziest splits I think I've ever seen on those cubes.
I don't know. We saw quite a few splits this episode, man. She was one of them. I was like, man.
I swear she was past, 180 degrees. She was up like just crazy because of her height difference. She was trying to stretch up higher. It was a little nuts.
Yeah, because her like back leg like went really high up, right? And her lower leg was like really low on the cube. Like just because, like just that condition of the fact that like the way she's angled, she's putting a lot of weight on her forward ankle and her forward groin. And that, I don't know. I was like, get off that thing, man, because that looked painful.
She ended up falling, trying to transition from that. Didn't quite make it, but a very, very good run. She was the 11th woman, I guess, up the warped wall.
Yeah, but props to her, made history, 11th woman up the warped wall. But also, she earned her spot in Vegas, and she did really well.
Yep. And after her, I don't know what this was. It was kind of weird the way it transitioned in. It was a little jarring. I don't know if it was just me or something about the way it was edited in from the commercial. But Derek Miyamoto, his segment, he kind of joined mid-run, but they gave him a little thing before it. He's 37, the Ninja ambassador. He travels around the world for Ninja, donates used equipment to other places that maybe can't afford it. Very, very cool guy.
Mm-hmm.
He managed to beat his first ball. Then he beat the cubes. He struggled through the last of the batons, but made the dismount somehow. Just absolutely crazy run. Did not see him finishing the way it was going, but he did manage to pull through in the end.
I really like the fact that they showed, him going around the world, going to other ninja competitions. I like the fact that they're highlighting the fact that it's a worldwide sport, and there are people that travel around the world doing all the competitions. And I really like the fact that you see, like, him giving, like, away materials, and I forget what it was, but he gave away stuff to, like, people that couldn't afford it. And that just instantly makes him, like, such a cool guy that you want to root for. But also, like, succeed and get through the entire course. He's a rookie, I think. If he's not a rookie, we certainly haven't really seen a whole lot of him. And he gets through the whole thing. And that was cool because, I don't know, when it comes to, like, the city finals, you kind of, like, glaze over when it comes to, like, the people you don't know. Because they're like, oh, they'll do well, but they're not going to get through the whole thing. This dude did it, man. Keeping the viewers on their toes. I was liking it.
Yeah, it was really good. And the only part I didn't like of it was when Matt was saying that Ninja is in pretty much every country around the world. It's like, you missed one. There's just one, just north of you that could use a version of Ninja Warrior. Just saying.
So butthurt, man.
Hey, at least open up. At least open it up. We could be American Ninja Warriors. We're North American.
North American Ninja Warrior, right?
Exactly.
That could be a thing. Yeah. We'll get all 5 of you Canadians.
I just want Sean McCall on the show. Is that so much to ask? Is that really that much to ask?
I honestly think he'd win the entire show, so let's not have that. Like, I don't need a Canadian winning American Ninja Warrior.
That's because he's going to be Canadian Ninja Warrior.
Yeah.
But after that, we had one of the strangest moments I've ever seen on American Ninja Warrior. The picture-in-picture run of Nick Hansen.
That was, okay. We got to talk about this, bro. Because, like, it's cool that we see somebody's run, but just think about this. Think about if you're Nick Hansen. If you guys, for those that are unaware, he's, like, legit the first person that's ever completed the Mega Wall. So he has, and this was the first time, like, this competition was the second day of filming for the entire season of American Ninja Warrior. So imagine this guy. He goes to filming. He does the greatest he's ever done. Gets up the Mega Wall the first night. And then, goes really, really far in the second night and makes it to Vegas. And you're just on cloud 9. You're like, oh, man, this is my breakout year, They're going to highlight me. They're going to show me the whole way. They're going to show my story and all this stuff. And then comes, like, when it actually happens. And through canon, you're not. They take away you being the first person up the Mega Wall. They give that to Daniel Gill. And then in your city finals, they don't even show you. They show you on a commercial, like, just as an afterthought. Like, I don't know, man. It's cool, like, they're showing him, but I just feel like I can't just imagine what this guy feels like.
I think this is one of the worst decisions they've made in a long time. I don't understand who that's supposed to be catering to. I mean, the best I can come up with is that we get to see more runs, I guess, if they run the runs through the commercials. But if I was an advertiser, I'd be really annoyed. If I was Nick Hansen, I'd be really annoyed. And as a viewer, I'm pretty annoyed. It's not a great way to do it. Just do your commercial and come back. Like, I don't... It was so distracting. I could barely focus on... I'm easily distracted, and I'm trying to watch Nick, but the commercial keeps drawing me over. I'm going back and forth. I didn't like it at all.
Yeah, I'm curious how people feel about this. They do this in sports quite often, like MMA and other things, but it's usually during a downtime, like between rounds. This is a real course happening, and once again, we always talk about it, like. The announcers really make the difference to runs. If you're just watching this without the announcing, there just isn't that drama connected to it. I mean, people take for granted what Matt and Akbar do, but they really are a major part of the show. And just without it, you're just really seeing a dude doing a bunch of, I don't know, not flips, but you know what I mean, like whatever old people complain about when it comes to American Ninja Warrior. So it just wasn't there. But it was an attempt. It was something new. I don't know.
Yeah. It wasn't quite what we needed. He ended up struggling and falling midway on the batons, but like you said, he goes on to Vegas. So congrats, Nick. After that, we had some fast forwards of some favorites. Selena Laniel ended up going out of the jumper cables.
Surprising, but hey, as San Diegans, we're going to get better when it comes to that thing.
Right. They have to get that set up at MROC so you guys can practice.
For real, though.
And then Josh Levin gets fast forward, who beat the chorus yet again.
That is crazy, man. Josh Levin was skipped. Like, I get it. Like, if you have no story, you have no story. But damn, like, I still feel like Josh Levin, he can very much be the winner of this season. And it's just like, whew. But it's whatever. Once again, I'm more so when it comes to his story. I want to get an update with Charlie Andrews.
Yeah.
Is that wrong to say, man? But like, I really want to know how Charlie Andrews is doing.
I saw more than one person say that exact same thing. So, strangely enough, you weren't alone in that. After that, we came back to Davion Hancock's, an EMT from Englewood, which has got to be a heck of a job to have. He had an awkward dismount to his back coming off the doorknobs. That did not look good.
He's got another one gonna be hurting for a while, man.
Yeah, he had a real struggle in the middle cube. No climbing experience, but somehow managed to get it done. Dropped 2 different batons on the Baton Pass and eventually did fall in. But that was an interesting run. It's interesting to see how the Baton Pass can start going wrong and you're just kind of left hanging there.
Yeah, well, he's very new to ANW. I think they said like he didn't really train for it or something like that. Like he's very, very new to this. And he was very much like muscling through athleticism, the course. But then he gets to the obstacle where it's all about your approach and the mental aspect of it. And he struggled figuring it out. But I like the fact that due to the variety, it did take out a competitor that really was just trying to skate by through athleticism.
Yeah. Yep. After him, we had Grant McCartney back for his redemption.
Grant.
Fell on the salmon ladder last year. He did manage to beat the salmon ladder, but he was struggling on the cubes. I don't know. I thought he had a good run if they weren't saying the whole time to speed up. Like, I wish they hadn't put all that in. As soon as they said that, I'm like, he's going to be on the bubble again. Like, it was just, they were telegraphing it from the get-go. Like, stop talking about his time. I was perfectly happy with his run till you said that.
Yeah, I didn't really catch that, but like, well, I caught them talking about the time, but like, I didn't catch you telegraphing it. But I was just like, man, Matt is really grilling Grant on the time. Like, chill out, Matt. Like, I was like, Matt's bullying him. But right. I feel like this is probably post-production stuff where they're really narrating the story of his run to the viewer and the fact that he was taking his time. Sometimes people have to catch their breath. I'm not going to knock somebody on going too slow if, it gets them through the entire course. It sucks. Grant McCartney is such a fun character and fun person. But for me, this was more so a highlight of the fact that, LA in particular is just so packed with high-level ninjas. I just really wish there was a way to spread them out more. I mean, your region is your region. I mean, nobody can change where they live. But I just wish, like a Jessie Graff and things, where she does live in LA, but she competes in a different region. I just wish they can spread out a few more ninjas to other regions. I mean, sorry guys, when you see Dallas next week, do you expect even half the amount of named ninjas that you saw this episode? Probably not. And so on and so forth that we get in like Indianapolis and stuff. We're not going to see the same amount. It's just so packed with high-level ninjas that people like Grant and Nelly Duran and other names that are really good on their own just are bumped out because it's just too many people.
Yeah. And unfortunately, that does happen later in the episode. Grant is bumped by Sean Bryan and does not make it back to Vegas this year.
Like, when you knew Sean Bryan was up, like, we'll get to it, but, like, there was no chance. There was no chance for Grant.
Yeah, to be honest, as soon as they talked about the time, I figured he wasn't going. We pretty much determined at that point.
Yeah.
We had a fast forward of Brian Rambo, the amazing rookie that we had seen in the qualifiers, who beat the whole thing. This guy is crushing it.
This dude, I've got my eye out on Rambo over here because this dude really shocked me in the qualifiers. And, it was kind of like an afterthought of a fast forward. But, like, when you think about his story and just everything this guy's done to this point, this is somebody that can do some major, major damage in Vegas. I don't necessarily think he's going to complete the entire thing, but I could see this guy going deep into stage 2 or 3. Like, Rambo, I'm definitely got my eyes out for him.
After him, we had Tiana Weberly with her fifth obstacle issues. And I thought, there's no way. There's no way. I was actually really into this run because I thought if she falls on those stupid doorknob drop, now that they've nerfed it, I was going to be so disappointed. But she didn't. She managed to get her first warped wall, which is crazy that it's her first one on here.
I'm happy for her. It was very much like her story that, it wasn't the entire course that she had to get through, but, the fifth obstacle. And she was able to do that. And in that sense, she really did well. And I'm happy to see her up that warped wall on like main ANW. And I think she was the other competitor, like the other female that made it to Vegas, right? Or do I have that wrong?
No, you're right. She got first place because she made it to the 9th obstacle.
Yeah, she went deep. That's right. So, she was always the prospect, the female prospect, but now we see it coming to fruition. And I'm really, really happy for her because I know this show means a lot to her. So, really cool. Really, now I think about it, like, could you imagine? She was very close. Like, I could have easily seen her going up that spider climb thing. So, man, she could have been, like, one of the very few females that could have completed a city qualifier. Or finals, and that would have been amazing.
There's only
so
one
close.
that has. People keep forgetting. Like, people like to get down on Casey. She is the only woman that's ever beaten a finals course.
Well, really? So like Jessie and the other mainstays haven't, huh?
No. Jessie's made it onto the final obstacle, like the invisible ladder or whatever the equivalent of it was.
But she
couldn't complete it. Yeah.
That's crazy, bro. I don't know. I think this year, like, say what you want about that spider climb, I think that's geared much more towards women or shorter competitors. I very much see a woman getting up that thing. I think this is the year we're going to see number 2.
I bet we see number 2 and 3.
Yep.
We had a couple of fast forwards after this. Spencer Clapp, who we're not familiar with, but was worth mentioning because he fell just shy of completing the whole course. He made it to the top of the spider trap, but couldn't quite make it all the way. He was very, very close.
That sucks.
Yeah. We also had a fast forward of Adam Rail, who almost fell in the cubes, made it really close. That would have been very dramatic for both of us watching if they had actually showed his full run. But he did catch it and managed to beat the whole course. Not
I'm so
too
happy.
surprising.
Yeah, I'm happy for him because, like, I'm not even... Y'all know how talented he is. But his mom is so awesome. I like, that woman is just, like, his biggest cheerleader, and I really like her. So I'm really happy for both of them. And dude better work on his rock climbing or something, man. That gave me a little scared. But, this guy's very, very talented. I think he's going to beast mode stages 1 and 2.
Yeah, his mom's great because she's so expressive with her face. You don't hear a peep from her, but just seeing her for that moment, she is so into that run, and she is completely there with him.
Mm-hmm.
Next, we had Flip Rodriguez, who took the tadpoles to Universal to see the Transformers ride. Cute little segment with him. Just quick enough, I think, to make it bearable. It could have gone on too long. Thankfully, it didn't. Just cute.
It's your prototypical Universal Studios plug. They're at Universal Studios. They have to get the plug in. It's whatever.
And it ties in with him. He was in Transformers, so it kind of works too.
Yeah.
He beat the whole course without any issue. His first finals buzzer in 5 years.
Dude, that shocked me. Like, Flip is so good and such a mainstay. I had no idea it's been that long. That said, I mean, I'm happy he was able to, get semi-redemption on that drop because really he fell through from the drop and, it didn't really drop. But, I'm glad he was able to get through the thing, hit the buzzer, and this very much can be a year where he does very, very well. Flip's always an interesting one, in my opinion, because I always see him getting through the first 2 stages in Vegas, but for some reason, I just don't ever see him getting past stage 3. And of course, like, only 2 people have, but, like, I feel like maybe it's the fact that I just haven't seen him on stage 3, like, all that often. But I'm very curious to see how well he can do on that thing.
Yeah, we did see him in the Team Matt and Knockbar competitions and stuff. We've seen him on there doing portions of it, and he did really well. So hopefully it means he can do the whole thing.
What do you think? How far is he getting?
In Vegas this year?
Yeah.
I don't want to be mean, but I'm going to say stage 2.
Oh, that's exactly what my guess was going to be, man. Stage 2. And it's not really knocking him. I just feel like they're making Stage 2 a very, for years, Stage 1 and 2 were getting out the fluff, and Stage 3 would just be like the hammer for everybody. I feel like, in these past 2 seasons, we're going to get a transition where Stage 1 takes out a lot of the fluff, and Stage 2 and 3 are really make or break for a lot of people.
I really hope I'm wrong on that. I actually would really love to see him go further than that. So.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's a mainstay.
After that, we had 3 fast forwards of our favorite ninjas. We had Brian Kretsch, who fell on the batons. David Campbell, who beat the whole course, which was very, very cool.
Go David Campbell. Yes.
And some guy named Nicholas Coolridge, modern Tarzan guy. I guess he had the fastest time or something to that point.
How ridiculous, man. How ridiculous. By the way, at the beginning of this episode, like they highlighted, we actually heard Nicholas Coolridge's voice, which shocked me because I'm like, I didn't know this guy can talk because we never hear him. And I was like, oh my God, they're going to show Nicholas Coolridge.
I know.
Oh, like they got me, bro. Like, what were your thoughts? Like,
I was so excited.
Oh,
I
man.
thought he had to be the only finisher of the finals again. That's the only time they feature him. He has to do something that nobody else has done. He has to absolutely dominate. And he pretty much did. But Sean Bryan ruined it all.
Dude, I guarantee you, if he got the fastest run of the night, they still would have skipped him. They still would have. And at this point, it's just a running joke. Like, this poor guy.
I hope he's fine with it. He keeps going back. He must be okay with it. But
he's a chill
man,
dude.
Throw the guy a bone. Just let us. I want to see him, more of him, hear from him. We had to hear him on the ANW podcast. Thank God. I think because Matt really likes him and was able to make that happen. But on the show, it's like somebody in the editing room does not like him. That's all I can figure.
Who hates this guy? And whatever he did, please, I just hope I never do it. There's somebody out against him. I don't know.
So that led us to the last run of the night. Sean Bryan with Grant on the bubble takes the course. And
I wonder what's going to happen. Poor Grant.
Yeah.
Like, he knew. He knew.
Sean Bryan was like a double whammy, right? It's like, okay, Sean Bryan, you have an opportunity to beat Nicholas Coolridge's time and knock Grant McCartney out of the competition. Step on the dreams of many ninjas and many fans at home. Do your best, and he absolutely did. He just crazily fast through the course, barely beats out Nicholas's time, and knocks Grant out of the running.
Yeah, I feel bad for him because it's like that's never a position you want to be. Of all people, you're gonna knock Grant McCartney out of the competition. Like, you do not want to be that dude, right? But it's Sean Bryan, he's amazing, and it still amazes me the biceps that this guy has because he just does not look like somebody that would have those types of biceps.
Right.
But very, very good, very technical. He seems to be just getting better each year with his approach to it. I don't know where he trains at, but he's doing something right, man. And yeah, really happy for him. I expect big, big things from him this year. I really don't know what to say because he didn't really struggle. So,
yeah, that's the thing. You do it that perfectly. What else do you say? Just fantastic job. And I think we need to stop overlooking this guy for ANW fantasy teams because he's just so crazy strong.
Yeah, he's amazing. I mean, it's just the thing where there's so many good ninjas right there on the cusp, There's so many right at that mountain peak. It's just who's going to be that next level of greatness. So far, we've only seen 2. I'm very curious to see who does it.
So that is it for our coverage. Before we let you go, we have to do our shout-outs for any 5-star iTunes reviews. Bijan, what do we got this week?
Yeah, special shout out to Fitz Dad, man. Awesome name, first of all. But yeah, sending us a lot of love on iTunes. Very much appreciate the 5 stars and everything. And he really wants us to keep up the positivity on the podcast. And a special shout out he wants to give to Crazy Neil Craver. Yeah, Neil Craver, one of our favorites, man. I'm really curious to see. I think he made it to the city finals, but I can't necessarily remember. But very, very much looking forward to seeing more Neil Craver. And thank you for the 5 stars. Dopeness.
Yes, thank you very much. And if you'd like to get a shout out on the podcast, make sure you stop by Apple Podcasts, subscribe, give us a rating. Ninja Warriors in full swing. We need your help to spread the word that we're here. You can reach me as Rich at ninjapodcast.com. I am at Ninja Podcast on both Instagram and Twitter. And Bijan, how can they reach you?
Yeah. Once again, go Fitz Dad. And hit me up at Twitter and Instagram at Bijan151. That is Bijan 151. Before we go, Rich, sorry to do this to you, but I totally forgot our Athletically Profound run of the night.
Oh.
Honestly, like, who gets it, man? It's kind of like I don't know, this episode, there were really good runs, but nothing really stood out to me. Like, what am I blanking on, bro? Who gets it?
Nicholas Coolridge, I think should get it.
Nicholas Coolridge, you get the Athletically Profound run of the night. You always skip, but we love you, bro.
All right, thank you all for listening, and I hope you have a great week.
Peace, love, and deuces, y'all.